I don't know if I want to see it. I heard it was supposed to be really sad.
It's the greatest anime ever! There are these 9 countries, right? And each one of them has this super shiny giant crystal called a soul future. And because they have the soul futures, everyone in the world has like these perfect happy lives. But then these monsters called voids start eating all the soul futures. Wow! And if they get all 9 soul futures, then the great void appears and ends the world. So, one by one, the voids are scarfing them all up and everybody's freaking out. It's so wild! Anyway, that's when the best warriors from all 9 countries team up to protect the last soul futures. They're called the 9 Soldiers, which is just the coolest name. And they all fight really hard to save the world from the voids. But then Luke, he...
This is dangerous. Open up your head, feel the shell shock. This is dangerous. I walk through minefields and watch your head This is dangerous. Open up your head, feel the shell shock. This is dangerous. Open up your head, feel the shell shock. This is dangerous. I walk through minefields and watch your head rock. This is dangerous. Open up your head, feel the shell shock. This is dangerous. I walk through minefields and watch your head rock. So watch your head rock.
Oh, this is bad.
The probability of us achieving victory here today is only 3%. That's with me rounding up!
You hear that? Those are runaway numbers!
If we run, there'll be no one left to protect the city. Stand and fight or die. You make the choice.
And the choice is that you made the choice to be here with me today on the Monkey Show. So welcome to the Monkey Show, everyone. I see you. I hope you see me. And if you're hanging out, just listening in, welcome. And if you're watching and hanging out, welcome. My name is Aru. I am the Monkey King of Zeolandia, also known as New Zealand. And today I'm going to do some, it's another week. So I realized it's 7 days since I put up the last post of the tortoise manga on Webtoons. So I got to prepare that. That's going to take, hopefully it won't take me too long. But, and then we're going to get into coloring this page. I put a post up yesterday on social media about this, or actually this morning. I think it was maybe midnight. I don't know. But like how this page came about and how the artist, took what I saw in my head and I gave him a sample, as a, let me get rid of this thing up here. Always hate it when people leave the, the chat, the same chat for the entire show, because it's just, or they like to post or comment for the entire show. It's kind of annoying watching that, and and then behind them is the video running or something like that. So that's kind of one of my pet peeves. I have many, just like anybody. But so I wanted to give them, get my artists to have a New Zealand look of things, because it's based. This page is there's 2 pages here that really has to deal with this young people on their farm and so on. And so I wanted to make sure. See, I didn't provide this image. I only provided this image, right? And that image, I think it's a Ford Celica or Toyota Celica, had to be this car because it's a regular teen car, like the first purchase, second hand, third hand purchase. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. And so, that's all I did. And, if you have a good artist who's got a passion for the work they're working on, man, you get some amazing things. So, yeah, so we'll be looking at coloring this later. And that's, because you notice there's like 2 tones of greens. And then when the colorist goes and, the render or whatever, tone or whatever you want to call it, goes and finishes it off for me, because I want to do the flats, that's all I do here on these pages. They will go in and, highlight it, darken areas, just where the sun's going to hit and stuff. And of course, lighten this as well. It just, it's kind of like afternoon kind of vibe, like about 4 o'clock, maybe about 5 o'clock vibe here. Kind of sun starting to settle, so it gets a bit darker, right? So let me, while I'm chatting away to you guys, I forgot to open up this freaking YouTube, not YouTube, Webtoons page, right? So I'm going to do that. As I mentioned yesterday, we've already halfway, 7 pages into issue 2 of this comic that I'm showing you right now. And this is the first comic, the first issue, right? Issue number 1, which we have inked everything, and I've done like about maybe half of the color flats on. So once I've done all the color flats, I'm going to send it over to the colorist to do his magic, to bring it to life, right, as they say. Or add the final touches. Now, where are you, Mr. There it is, the tortoise. Wait, got the wrong file. Let's get the Webtoons, the tortoise, right? So for those of you guys who are following us on there, there's about 300 people who have looked at that page. We only put up about 7 pages or something so far. And, or was it 6? Might be 5. And so those of you who've been checking us out there, thank you so much. The link's in the chat. And also I think the link's in the description of this video. So you can, later on you can check that out as well. Now, I'll show you, while I'm bringing that up, I'll show you the, me for a second, the Webtoons page, right? And set up, where are we? So yeah, we're about, let me see, we put up 6. So we're up to about page, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 pages, right? So we got about 3 so far in the last, I guess, few days. We picked up about another 20. We've got 4 followers. We'd love for you to follow us more. And it's like the first issue. It's more. This manga is written like as like a movie script, right? So it's kind of like a, yes, you could say like a slow burn, but you learn a lot in the first issue about a lot of things, right? The first chapter, I guess. There's about 4 chapters, maybe 5, depending where we go with it, because I have this idea in my head how I want it to finish, right? But I haven't finished it yet, because I've written the first, second, and third issue, and Tomas has started work on the second issue, but he's just finishing up. He'd actually done heaps of pages of the second issue, but we had issues with the pages, some sort of, technical issues. So we do restart again. So otherwise, we'll be up to issue 2 now, right? So it kind of sucks. Sometimes you have those issues with art, with digital and stuff like that. Now, so I got him to, before doing the last page of this, of the first chapter of the first issue, right? I said to him, do the cover to it so we can start promoting the cover to it, put out to Kickstarter, because cover A is always the interior artist cover for us, always. The reason for that is that we don't want to go bait and switch anybody. Go, hey, this is the artist's work in the front, right? And the cover A, and there's the artist's work in the inside interior. So, but then we've got all these awesome, really, variant covers, and we're going to be putting out like 3 covers each per issue. So I've got, because this is a mature reader, kind of like 15 plus, 16 plus, depending where you're at, right, around the world. So it's, over here at over here that I think they had like a teen plus book. For me, our class is a mature, so 15 plus. I guess teen plus is like 13 and over. I wouldn't class this as a 13 and over manga at all. But that's when I put in all the tags, that's what it came out, spit it out. So, but I like to warn you guys, right? There is, it gets a bit graphic. It is a bit, it is like Indian tribes, right? Like, not Indian, Asian native tribes, indigenous primitive people, right? So that's what, First Nation type, people that we've got to be dealing with. Also, it's a relationship, it's a love story and everything in there. So I'm hoping that people, don't get bored of the first issue. Go, oh, this is just a slice of life. Yeah, it is a slice of life, but there's so much more to it, right? And I hope that people will give my comic, mine and Tomas's comic, the Tortoise, the love it deserves, and you guys will get to see something different from some other cultures. You'll see what it's, I guess in the sense that what it's like traveling overseas. If you've never gone overseas out of your country, I recommend it, but also recommend that you do not just go to any country that you throw a dart at the map at, because it's you should really know about the country you're going to. Is it coming? Yeah, there it is. Because sometimes if you're not aware of the culture and stuff, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. And do listen to, seek advice from, your trip advisors and all that, your travel agents, because I've seen people leave New Zealand and go overseas and get in a lot of trouble. I've mentioned how I nearly got myself in a lot of trouble a couple of times, but I listened to the advice of people around me, and my, and then again, it's up to me to take up that, listen to the advice or not, or just go, oh, you don't know anything. I'm a Westerner. We do our country, in our country, we do this. Like, yeah, but in your country anymore. You're not, like I say, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? And when you're traveling, that's a very important thing. Now, let's get on with this. So, as you know, we take a page from the comic book, and then we slice and dice in a way, rearrange it for Webtoons. So that way, I might shrink this down a bit, and then later on we'll go and do some coloring. So come back out here. I need about, it's probably 6, right? So duplicate. And if you've been following this this portion of the live streams that I do with the Webtoons thing, And if you haven't, you can go back and have a look in how I arrange and why I arrange the pages this way. And if you're not used to Webtoons, and if you want to know how they do it, it's I kind of do a bit of a tutorial going into it, and it's all try to make it as easy as possible to understand, because really Webtoons wants you to have your product on there, right? Or your comic or whatever, your novel that you're writing, or your what is it called? I guess picture books. What's the other word for it? Oh man, visual novel. Yeah, there's another technical name where you have a page of art on one, and then you have text on the other. But in New Zealand we used to call it a picture book, right? But there's there's actual term for it that's universal that I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Probably need some coffee, which I have made. And I only had a little sip of before, so I'm just going to grab another sip because I think my mouth's getting cotton wool. There we go. Lubrication. All right, so 2, 4, 6. There we go. Right, so the next thing is I do here is I bring in the page from the comic book, right, which is arranged like a manga. So it reads, it's reads left to right and so on. Now, I think we did that page. Remember we did this page. Yes, did I? Let me just check the Webtoons just to make sure I'm on the right page. Oh, it looks like no. It looks like I should be. Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, in the print form, I'm on page 12, but in the comic art form, I'm on page 8 today. So this is what page 8 looks like when it opens up. There we go. So as you can see, normally, you'd be reading from here, right? But usually with this, we go, usually you go this way with manga, right? Left to right. And so in here, it doesn't matter that I've got it here, because that's where I could find a nice little place I could put, I think I just got to reboot my Wacom because I turned it on without restarting the driver. That's something I always have to do because I keep doing my Wacom off. Then because I'm on I have 3 monitors or 4 monitors, so I got to make sure that if I'm not using that, I just turn it off rather than wasting power, and all that. So, right, so I should be here. Let's go. So these two, the last 2 pages talks about just turtles, right? They're this is like conservation book as well as everything else. It talks about the from egg to sea life to their 100-year, if they're able to survive the predators. Some of them, they don't even survive getting out of the out of the shell. It's babies. So here we are talking about them popping out of the out of the sand because the mum digs a hole in the sand, right, and makes a little bit of a like a bowl in the sand, and then she lays her eggs, and then she pushes the sand back over it, which keeps them hidden, and the warmth of the sun, all that stuff, and then she goes away. She's gone, man. She went for milk and never came back, or cigarettes, as they say. However, these little eggs do their thing, incubate, whatever, and after 122 days, the mother, what's it, after 122 days, the mother leaves, and then, oop, I see a mistake. This is what I like. This is what like I love doing this, because even after we've done everything, I send this off to get edited and making sure that it's like, before we go to print, that is, that like, so everything is always, uh, perfect as much as possible. And you will always have mistakes even after print, man. That's like the suckiest thing, is even after having everybody look at it, you'll still find mistakes somewhere, right? Plus, I got to break this up into two anyway when I go to do the Webtoons page. So as you can see here, right, this is the art. This shows you like just the whole cycle of life. The one that makes it, and gets out to the ocean, and then in the ocean's predators, and then the biggest predator of them all, man, right? So yeah, I learned so much doing this about turtle life and just nature, right? Because like, if you're watching the PlungeCast, if you're following that channel, PlungeCast, you can see on there every now and then I put up a little video of the monarch butterflies I'm raising, and just the predators they have, and the bugs that want them as their caterpillars, right? And yeah, it's just, I've been doing this for about maybe 4 or 5 years, raising monarch butterflies on my balcony, finding the seeds to grow the silkweed. And then once you have the silkweed, then the monarchs will fly over and lay their larvae, right? Larvae. And so here's the art page. And then they'll come in and they'll leave, right? The natural order of things, right? Nature, right? She'll lay her seed and then she'll leave. So with that one panel, right, I'll be able to get two out of it, because I noticed, I mean, not I noticed, but I know that there is two. I like to do this because it's easier to copy paste the entire text. Otherwise, you'll just get like either the word, right, or the speech bubble, but not the whole thing. So if you've seen me do this before, and if you're new here, thank you. If you haven't seen me do this before, if you're new here, thank you for coming and check out my channel. I really appreciate it. Just by you being here, I know that like I have someone that I can talk to, and it's like I'm not talking to air, because it's really harder. It's like if you watch wrestling, you know what it's like when when wrestlers will talk to you what energy you have when people are actually watching, compared to what energy you have when there's small amount of people watching, like large amount or small amount, right? For me, even if I have one person watching, I have more energy and purpose behind what I'm saying. Not that I don't. Otherwise, it's just got this real, I don't know, it's just this, it's not like you're talking on the phone, right? And your concentration is there. You know that there's a person listening, and you, Anyway, so it's, I appreciate it. That's what I want to say. Thank you for coming and check out the channel. Right. So this is what I meant by like cutting it up. So as you can see here, I don't need that, because it's just, because it's a one sentence. And I like using, sometimes it's really, I like to direct, even though, comics, people can just spend a couple seconds on a page, sometimes depending on how fast they read it. Comics is about the art. And for me, it's to have people on the page as long as possible. And so I do tend to sometimes have more text on there and direct and place text around it, so it directs people around the panel rather than just going blah, 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 right? Placing it willy-nilly. So because, like I say, right, well, if you don't know, if you're new, you don't know that, I say that. But as I, I often say, like, it's about art. This is art for me. This isn't just some little, quick do this and get this out thing, right? It's not like you know, um, a factory line production. It's it's important for me to make sure that my artist's work is appreciated and seen, and their talent and their skill is on that page is you know is impactful. That even when you walk away from it, you put it away, you think back on it, uh, because it's just such a there's so much effort being put into these pages, right? Even just drawing a turtle, there's a lot of years of experience knowing how everything looks, right? Getting the references, making sure that the look of the turtle is correct, because you don't want somebody looking at it and going, that doesn't look like a turtle. What turtle is that? Kind of thing. It's like, is that what that's supposed to be? Yeah, not one of those turtles. So everything, for me is like making sure that it's, that there's no fallback on the artist, because they didn't, because people go, oh, your artist didn't do his job properly. So, well, it's my fault if they didn't do their job properly, because I'm the one, putting it all together, I'm the writer, and I got to make sure that, now I'll take this, give me a second. So this is what I mean about, like, because people, like, when you're on a mobile phone, this is what's kind of, read on mostly, maybe a laptop, I don't know, but 100%, I guess 70% maybe will be reading on a mobile phone. They'll be going down, right? They will be swiping down. So by the time they get down to here, they'll be able to see the entire page of work. So just excuse me for a bit of concentration here. Otherwise, I'll muck it up. Next page. Yeah, and so I want, like I said, the buck stops with me because I'm the production, I'm the editor, I'm the production, I'm the writer, right? So I got to make sure that the work the final piece does justice to my artist, right? Because they spent time on this. Where am I not moving? Yeah, there is. Saying, why am I not moving it? Just put this here. Because you go to the other turtles. Let's put on actually to the back of this, because there's lots of backs of here. There's covering these heads. So, I got to make sure the quality control is there. And so I even have people check my quality control, right? My writing, is this reading well? Is there spelling mistakes? Do I need to change anything so it reads better? What can I do? Because I'm always wanting to get better. Everything, I just want to be able to get better at what I'm doing over and over again, right? And the better I get, the more, I guess, the quality is for what I do. My writing style gets better, and there's this in filmmaking, right? In filmmaking, there is this thing. Oh, get rid of that one. I need the other one that I'm working on. There we go. So in filmmaking, as directors have what what they call the auteur, right? A-U-T-E-U-R. It's like their signature on their work. So you notice that certain directors will have a certain thing always in every single movie that they make, right? Every single thing will have this one thing about them, and it'll just carry through. And people go Easter eggs, but more it's like it's what. And Easter eggs are kind of different, but like it's like you put in there something for the fans, right? But like, now hold on, which one am I on? Here it is. Apologies, I was just trying to figure out my page numbering. So I'm on there. I just finished 5, 6. Yep. This moves along. Right. So the auteur, is it's like a signature. It's like a personal signature in artistic form. Somebody might even just put the same cup, right? The same cup on every single movie, or they'll use a piece of artwork and they'll have that somewhere there, right? And you could say, well, that's in modern talk that's like a self-insert, but it really isn't, because it's just like leaving your little your I guess a piece of your soul there for you to remember that this is yours, right? No matter what happens. It's kind of weird, like it's hard to describe, but oh well, for me anyway. I'm not very articulate when it comes to that sort of stuff, right? But I just rather, there we go. So I moved the wrong one. Okay. So that's the first. Where's my second? See, that shouldn't be my second. That should be my second. That's my second. So that needs to convert it. All right. And that needs to go up there. Okay, so now I've got this. So this is my second. Second narrative thing, panel. Page 46 of the Webtoon. Well, setup, I guess. So there we go. Now, a harsh early reminder to the baby turtles that nature is filled with victims and predators in every corner of the natural world. All right, so for turtles. Okay. What the hell? I think my battery's going flat on my. Yeah, it is. Hold on. Sorry, guys. What the heck? Stop it. Stop it. Save that. There's another thing. I think like it's weird. Like I've been noticing that like I'm starting to get like my hack thing or whatever, or when the battery goes flat, that my excuse me, that my mouse starts doing its own little thing. And in the old days, we'd say, well, that's been hacked, right? And because that's what they used to be like, that controller thing. So I don't know what's going on, but I might have to like look into that a bit more. But let's see what happens when I just change the batteries. Excuse me. Whenever I try to concentrate, my brain just like, okay, that's the only thing I can't talk now. So let's see. Wait, put it the wrong way. I'm like, brand new batteries. They're the wrong way. Okay, so that's in the right way. That's in the right. Oh. There we go. Right. No. Weird. Where's my other mouse? All right, let's get this mouse in. Excuse me, I'm probably gonna have to like see the right one. So moving. Yep, so that's working. Cool. Turn that one off. Oh, it's that way. All right. There we go. Okay. So that was weird. I think that might have to get rid of that mouse or whatever. Okay. Give me a sec here. I'm going to change something on here. There might be a bit of a delay from my end. Just give me 1 sec. There we go. We're back. Okay. Maybe that sorted it. All right. No. What's going on? I think I had some button on something, and that sort of messed with my mouse and my keyboard. Hold on. Right. What is going on with this? Apologies, guys. Let me save that. Let me reboot this. Technical issues.
The desecration of the sacred corpse.
Wolverining is hard! Make it stop! Mangled dry!
You sick fuck! Logan was a hero, and the only thing worth a shit to ever come out of Canada.
Get my country's name out of your fucking mouth. And my sword. Give me that. Oh, I gotta find me another Logan. An alive one. Don't get up, guys. I'll see myself out. The desecration of the sacred corpse.
Just waiting for this friggin' thing to boot up. Come on, where are you? There we go. It's coming to me. It's coming to me. Now, while it's doing its thing.
At the time?
I don't think like that. I always feel like a hot young star, on the other hand. You know what I mean? Why not? Why not? You know? I mean, I say that in jest.
it neither has any meaning nor doesn't have it. I mean, everyone should think of themselves as that, you know?
Yeah, no, it is doing its own thing. I have no idea what's going on. My mouse is like running its own little thing. So I'm going to unplug the mouse and I'm going to unplug the desktop. I mean, not the desktop, the keyboard. And I'll put on some stuff, music for you guys while I do that, and then plug it back in. Hopefully it'll work. That's that video from the other channel. I need to stop like labeling the videos. Looks like there's some work going on next door. Yeah, I think I need to stop labeling for specific channels because that's just, you know, stupid. Because it means I can't use it on this channel or use this channel, you know, the ones I use on here on that channel. It's just, but that is what it is, right? Okay, let me find this folder again. Open up the ones I'm working on. I just had it and then I lost it. Where are we? Yes, there's. Okay, that was weird. Like, it's been bad like that, but not that bad, which is what really annoyed me about, like, because in the old days, like, hold on, am I doing importing or opening? Right. There we go. On with the work. Apologies, guys. 40 minutes in, and like my mouse and keyboard do not want to concentrate or work with me. They do not want to team up. There's screens come up and it's gone away. Away. What is going on? I know I'm supposed to do like a update that happened overnight that you know for whatever Microsoft, but come on now. Are you there? There it is. Okay. All right. Technology. The better it gets, the harder, the more technical and annoying it gets as well. All right, we're back. Now, what did I lose in that process? Yes, 45, 46. Yeah, looks like I lost 40. The first page, which is okay because it's not that difficult. This page to work with. There you go. Looks like school has closed for the day. It's 3:20, so kids are on the roads, being happy, screaming, fighting, and everything they do, right? I like hearing, happy kids. I think it just, like children and babies, like it just means that life goes on, I think a lot of times people like see kids messing up or playing around or crying in shops, and for them it's like a negative. For me, it's like, wow, there's another child in the world, and it's just was it trying to move on its own again? Man, I hope it's not a hack thing, because that would suck. That would really, really suck. Paste. Go back and open. Oh, that's the wrong one. Did not need that open. I needed this open. Yeah. Did I put the right one? It's 44, right? Where'd you open? You're not there with me. Open. Okay. Copy. Copy it. At the new tab. There it is. So that's there. From the other one I'm supposed to be working on. But man. Okay, here we go. Get this done. Get this show on the road. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. There we are. That really took like what, 10, 15 minutes out of my time of getting this sorted. Now let's hope it doesn't do that silly thing that it was doing before, which is just kept going on and on, right? On its own, like moving on its own and all that. Right. Okay. Copy. Rasterize. Looks a bit faded because I'm zoned in. I'm like zoomed in so high. But not only that, it is I've enlarged. Did I enlarge it? Yeah, I did enlarge it because I needed it to be a certain size for me to work with. You can go over here. All right. So 45 is done. 44 is done. 46. We're into 46. Let's make sure that we're the right. So a harsh reality is 46. Yep. 46 is done. 47. Tab. Okay, so paste on there. Nope, paste that one. Paste. Shrink it down. I would love to, like, like turn this around this way kind of thing. I can hear you. And you know, but like, you know, like so you can like look at it this way. But by doing that, you know, might be annoying because people don't want to turn their phone around sometimes and just read it the way up and down. But it would look really cool, like in the text here. You could have the two looking at each other. These two little babies, baby turtles. What if I should? Let's go to the text. Let's see how the text reads, and then, you know. No, it'll actually, I just realized it'll cut it up wrong because, you know, Webtoons does cut up your, you know, so it flows better for their you know, for their website and all that. So let's do this. Just have. Just go there. Now, I did a little, you know, live stream yesterday, impromptu. And if you want to watch, you know, that's there. But what I want to talk about is that do go check out the video that it was based around, which is by Last Met, the Shadow Band. He's a good guy. I've interviewed him for this channel, so you can also find interview with him about his work with Drake, his character Drake. Just off the top of my head, I can't remember much more because it's just my focus is on here, right? But the Shadow Warrior or the Warrior Drake. But yeah, I've got to get my hand on that book, man. I'm going to have to make a deal with them to work out something where I can get all of it at once and figure out how much it will cost for freight, right? Okay, so fighting their way. So that's coffee. That's what I need. Hold on, let me just grab this. Do that. I actually just got up a couple hours ago, like straight, like I woke up 20 minutes before a meeting, had the meeting, then set up this, and then my freaking StreamYards were playing up. It kept saying, hey, yeah, it's not going to Facebook. Your link isn't going to Facebook. Do it again. And I kept doing it again. And then, like, they put up 3 different friggin' links to, you know, and you would have noticed that, right? Like, and I couldn't even tell which one was the right one until I saw my comments that I made show up in the actual video link. I mean, like the post, whatever, on Facebook, YouTube, sorry. I was like, I don't know which one's the right one. And finally found it. But yeah, so there's like 3 posts went out with links onto Facebook, I mean, YouTube, but they said none of it had gone out. And I'm like, okay. Like I said, technical issues today. Oh, so there's a manga, there's an anime about a vending machine. Have you guys seen that? Tell me if you guys ever seen that in chat, right? If you've seen the what is it called? It's an isekai thing, but he's reborn as a vending machine. Now, Wonder the Dungeon is part 2, right? Season 2 is part Wonder in the Dungeon. So this is the name of it. I will not try to butcher the Japanese or the kanji, whatever the language there, translation of that. But here's the I didn't realize season 2 had started. So yesterday I was watching season 2 while I was sorting out Lego, because there's like 3 kgs or 4 kgs of Lego that's all mixed up, and I just sort it out before I could work out building, right? Start building it. So that's what it's called. Reborn is a vending machine. Now I want a dungeon, and you would think it'd be like just comedy, whatever, some stupid thing, but it's actually quite a good good manga anime about relationships and just dealing with dangers and stuff, and the usual demon lord and all that, enemies, warriors, the whole Dungeons and Dragons themes, your group who goes battling and so on. It's really good. It's worth watching. If you want humor, if you want a bit of fantasy, adventure, it's all there. So yeah, I watched season 1 last year, and then they checked online. I was just checking for what anime was out, and then found that was around now. I mean, they're already up to about episode 7, so it caught me off guard, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this now. Okay. Click, 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 click. Okay, so this one here, I can go a bit further in. Circle of life, or the natural order of things, right? Poor little birdie. I mean, poor little, not birdie, poor little turtle. So, she said, it's that Nirvana song. Tab, paste. Wait, wrong. Okay, it was on that one. Yes, look at that. It was on this one. That's where you're going. Right. So the struggle for the survival begins. Yeah, I thought I was cutting off too much of the head of the bird. It's like, what does it look like? It's not all there. Try to get as much of that in there, but without losing the what's it called, the movement of the image, like so you're like looking up, sees the predator, and then you see the predator. Copy again. 49. Paste. Rasterize 48. We don't need to do anything there with that now. Save. Close. 46. Rasterize with that. Save. Close. back to getting this one now. Oh, I just realized something. Damn it. Oh, no. I'm right. Confused myself. Because, like, usually, you know, with manga, you're going that way, and then you're going that way, right? Then you're going back out this way. Then I realized that I actually put this here, so your eyes go down to this, so that page connects to that panel, connects to that panel. Then it comes to that. So it's like, oh no, I made it, you know, I did it out of sequence. Through. There we go. That's the text. Speech rule 49. And move that away. Here. Kind of looks all over the place because, like, you know, manga, I mean, webtoons, I should say, cut up for webtoons, but like, but on a comic, you know, on the page itself, when it's all there, it looks a bit different, right? As you can see here, right? But when you're reading it, like on your phone or tablet or whatever, it's going to look a bit different. Copy. Jesus, duplicate that. I need one more. I was watching this other, like, I saw like maybe a third of the first episode before I started feeling tired and stuff. And I needed to go to sleep. So it's called Clavetas. And while I was watching it, I got an idea for another story. And I was like, oh, I could write a new story based, you know, with this sort of like this sort of character. And then I realized, well, I don't need to write a new story. I could create that character within the world of Zeolandia, which is my isekai series, right? And so I don't do, you know, so what I can do is put a, you know, like a one shot, you know, what they call filler, but it's not really filler. For me, none of my, you know, issues would ever be fillers because I just feel like I'm just adding a new chapter to it. So I thought, like, well, it would be great if you told a perspective of a character from another character's, you know, an opposite sort of, you know, opposite viewpoint, like I say, right? Like a different viewpoint. Excuse me, I didn't expect myself to be stomach rumbling. So yeah, so like this is what I mean, like inspiration, like I've said this about before, inspiration can come from anywhere, but what you do with it, you know, is up to you. It's like, what do you want to, like, how do you treat that idea that's come into your head, right? And like I mentioned about, you know, with the tortoise here, with the tortoise manga that I'm working on, right? That Tomas is, you know, from Argentina is doing the artwork here on, right? He's actually over in, is he in France right now? Or was he in Italy? I think it was in France, but no, he's in Italy. So, you know, he's doing his own overseas trip. So he's working on a book about, you know, about two young girls, young ladies, I should say, because they're in their 20s, early 20s, who are on their own work, you know, work experience or overseas trip while he's on his overseas trip. So, yeah. It was interesting to have him work on it while he's actually going through the same experience, of like living overseas, fish out of water kind of thing, or turtle out of water, right? Well, I guess turtle in water, but turtle in sand. This reminds me of a freaking 80s song. Circle in the sand, round and around. I can't remember who sang there, but I think it's a sort of ladies, all ladies group or something like that. Was it a cause or something like that? Okay, so through some innate instinct, right? That's what we had last time. Yeah. So if I got that there, yes, I have. I can now rasterize this, or flatten, whatever you want to call it. There you go. Save. So it's only just this image that's there, not all the other stuff. Which means if the other stuff is still there, you'd have all this like waste of like, RAM or memory. Memory, I should say. RAM's what makes computer code, whatever. But like, all this memory will be used up by this other stuff. And I'm always having to like delete files because I'm like, because I keep having to backup off the backup off the backup because I'm scared of losing stuff because I've lost 2 good works, and I hate rewriting stuff because when you're a writer, like when when you're inspired in that moment, it's really hard to get that same sort of inspiration momentum back. That's why a lot of people, like, if they have some, if they're working, they lock themselves away when they have that inspiration to work, right? And it's the same thing with creativity. It's just part and parcel of that, and people tend to like have their own little area to work in, which is what, for me, it's I'm really lucky is where I can now I don't have to worry about anybody else or anybody interrupting me unless I want them to, or when they do, I can say, hey, no, catch me later. I'm right in the middle of something, unless it's really important. Go, yeah, okay, let's do this. Let's sort out what we got to sort out. Suppose make the blah 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 blah. Yeah. There we go. Copy that. There's one more, but yeah, so there's one more. Yeah. It's there. Go back and flatten that. I notice that. Fold it here. I don't even need to do it. I'll move this down. What did you use it to make this turtle bigger somehow? I have it set up that I can go back 50 saves or 50 whatever. So that allows me to like, there we go, it's better. That allows me to keep going back and undo, right? By the way, since we're talking about and overseas traveling, experienced folks, the word undo in Hindi means horny, right? It's basically like a bull, a horny bull. Undo. In English it's UNDO, but like in Hindi, it's means horny. So if you ever hear somebody say that, an Indian person say that, you know what that means, right? So a bit of cultural education there. Right. So now I can go back to flattening that. wonder if that's my landlord, because he's supposed to, like last week, remember we were doing this and he was supposed to come and put an air vent in or whatever, like extractor in. And he got me all ready the day before to clean up for him to come in the next day. And he didn't. And I was live streaming and waiting for him to, and I shut down my live stream to come. Then I walked down there to see him and he goes, "Oh, yeah, we don't need to." I was like, "Well, why don't you come and tell me? I've been waiting for you an hour for, and then I could have kept live streaming, right?" But no. That's the other thing, like people in this day and age, they are not conscientious about other people anymore. They're just realized something, that they're more self. So it's going that way. So this needs to be on the other page. Okay. So natural order of things. There we go. Where like it's got to a point where everybody's just selfish and self-centered. They're not conscientious about other people's time. It's like when you go to like, you go to a doctor's appointment, right? You've taken like hours of your work. So if you're actually losing money, so whatever your hour wage thing is, right? So you go there and then they're like, "Oh, doctor's not here today." I'm like, why wasn't I told that? Why could you just give me a call, right? Would 30-second or text even would it cost like 30-second call, 30-second text, whatever, and I wouldn't have needed to come in, and especially if you're like having like for me, if I do that, I have to get in a taxi if it's across town or something, right? Because I don't drive, I don't have a car. I've owned cars and stuff, but I just so I got to pay for a taxi there and back, so on, right? And then all the other thing is like you get there, it's like, "Oh, sorry, we're really busy, so we're gonna have to wait an hour or 40 minutes or half." And I was like, well, I just got here, and if you could have sent me a text, I could have done something else or come in later. And so this is what I mean, like people just, it's worse when it's like businesses do that, because it's like if you're late, oh boy, if you're late to a doctor's appointment, they put somebody else in there because, hey, they're on the schedule, but you're not that important, right? Your time isn't that important. Their time's very important. Your time isn't. Now, remember, that's gone. That comes back up. And I have to put the last text here. Okay, and so then we'll go and do the little clean up here. That goes down, that comes up. Gee, that's fine there. And we're done. So that's the work for today. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we divided that page up to 7. And then when it goes to Webtoons, that one page will probably be 12 or something like that. Because of the way Webtoons have set up, they have to work within their whatever. So yeah, that's what the entire page looks like. Do not save. I actually had a mistake on there, which I was able to, like an extra word, which I was able to fix by, do that, save that. That's set up for the next time. So I've got a blank page to start with, canvas as they say. And there it is. Now we're up to page 50 of the Webtoons. So exporting from 44 to 50. Export as multiple batch. 46 to 50, right? 44 to 50. 44, 50. Make sure I'm at the right export page. Nope. Where am I exporting to? Upload files. Is that the one? Hold on, I need to open up my folders here. Just make sure wherever I'm going, it's going to the right folder. Sometimes I'm like, okay, where did I export to? I thought I was going to this one. No, it's in the wrong freaking folder. I'm like, where is it? You know. So it goes to that one, chapter 01. All right. Perfect. Okay. A file with the same name exists in the okay. Well, no, let's go make sure. Let's go make a new little just put a new file just for the quickness of the stream. New folder and just shove it all in there. There you go. So it's 100% at 60 ratio, which is what works for me at the moment for there. It's a bit blurry, I know, but it's Webtoons, right? You can see that it's like converted, done. Now that's done. I can now do my placeholder because you got to have like a thumbnail every time for this because they, you know, like a chapter, whatever you call it. And I realized I closed the file and I needed something from that. But I think I have still like got a copy paste, haven't I? So if I have a copy paste, I can paste it. No, it's that one. Darn it. It's not the one I want. Okay. File open. Actually, what I'll do is I'll grab it from the new, I like the original art. And that way I don't have to like have a degraded or lower, you know, quality image. Like this one, it looks a bit washy, but like looks fine on that screen. But in front of me, it doesn't look that, you know, fine. There we go. Grab this, the original art, close that. No, thank you. Then save like it the way it was, unchanged. There we go. Unlock that. Perfect. Look at that. And make it more central. So this is number 7. But is it though? The only way I'll know is if I go back to the Webtoon page and check. Yeah, it is. It is, right. Yeah. Now we've got a new view. Hopefully it's not my, you know, me changing my freaking VPN to a different country that made the, you know, made it look like it's a new viewer because that would suck. But we got we've had 322 people so far. Look at that, which is really cool. You know, it's 7, not 2. Wait, are you? You're gonna play around me again? Are you the same thing we did 40 minutes ago? Oh, all right, there we go. Placeholder, export, JPEG, where are we? Chapter, square, and it is 7. There we go. And now 100%, 100%. Perfect. Now we will go to remove that. Remove that. Let's go to Webtoon. And go to, oh yeah, that's what I need. I need the copy paste of the name. Hold on. So the name's the same. There we go. Oh, there you go. Oh, I got one more viewer. So it's not me. All right. Let's go to dashboard. Add an episode. I got to fix that, man. Like, hold on. This, I got to make it more circular. So I've got to bring the title. I know I have to do it. And it's been like 7-8 weeks when I should have been doing it, but like I've just been busy with everything else. I'm going, I need to bring this here so the title's here and rearrange the names. I'm like, but I will do that after this. I got to make sure. But like every time I think about it, I got another thing to do, right? And I forget to do it. All right, so here's the thumbnail. Where is that? There you go. Webtoons number 7 is the mini turtles. All right. Oh no. Okay, 500 KB. Okay, export is a smaller image. Darn it. I thought it was going to be right. All right, let's go for 60. Quality 100%, ratio 60, just like the other one. Upload. What's the KBs here? It's going to be 500 KB. 50. Export again. Let's go down another percentage, 10%. Hopefully that gives us what we want. Where are we at? 550? No. Right. Another. Because I don't want to drop my quality. I just want to drop the size. It sucks. All right. Let's go to 40. Actually, 45%. Yeah, because they gave me 200 last time, so let's go to 45%, right? Because I really want to get into coloring. No, they've got everything finished, but you know. And the other thing, I was talking about, like, you know, people burning themselves with Webtoons and having to, you know, people who solely rely on Webtoons, right? As you can see here now itself, is that, like, I feel for them, right? Because people, the reason I mentioned it, there's what was that? There's a dude that wait, hold on. Drag and drop. Select files to. There we go. It's uploading to the next one. So it's that one, and there is that one. Right. So there's a guy who got done for, like, using other people, like shortcuts, like using other people's, tracing other people's work, right? Optimize 7 images to fit within the maximum image dimensions. Yep. So now that becomes, like I said, you know, Webtoons does the same thing to make it work. So those 7 images are now 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Doubled it, right? So 2 megabytes. That's, yeah. Oh well. don't really need to link. Comments are enabled. Save draft. Where is it? Oh. What's going on? Immediately publish. There we go. This episode will be shown to others. Do you wish to press it? Of course. That's the whole purpose. Right, so it's up. There we go. 1 minute past 4 p.m. New Zealand, Thursday. So I'm within my, like, what's that, 6 days, I guess? You know, I'm trying to get a weekly thing. Like, sometimes I don't. But that's because I'm not, you know, I'm just putting it out here for fun of it. I'm not, like, making money or anything. It's not my only thing. I don't have a, you know, I don't have, like, a Suacia, or I don't have, like, you know, some Korean company on my tail going, you know, over my shoulder going, you need this up now. You know, you got 7 days, you got to get all these pages done, you know, that sort of thing. And a lot of them, like, the sad part is watching someone just lose their entire decade of work because, you know, because they use a couple of images from somebody else's or use Google Earth images and traced over that. Because, see, I hate AI and he didn't use AI, right? So that's the only fault. I've got nothing against a person going, oh crap, I got to do this because, you know, because nobody out here in the audience, nobody in the reader understands the pressure it is when you're part of a contract and you have a publisher and you know, and anime studio and owners of the anime studio, the marketing team, all those people, you know, your merchandising, you know, your manga and all of this worldwide waiting for you to make sure that you meet your deadlines every week. You know that novelists don't have that? They have something like 3 years to write a novel. Right? They get paid up front. If you're, you know, if you have, like, you know, if you're like Stephen King or shit, you don't need to worry about people paying you up front. But, you know, because you already have millions. But like if you're a person who's just put out a bestseller, now you can somebody decides to buy your rights, and now they bought your first book, and now they're waiting for your second book, so they give you, you know, they prepay you to go live off this money, 50,000, 30,000, whatever the hell it is, right? And then they put your deadline on, so you have so many years to go and write this novel, right? And in that time, that if you know, they have an editor who'll come on, you know, to your house and will make sure they'll call you. Have you got it done? I need the pages. But keep you online, right? Keep you online. Keep you on time, you know, on schedule. All that words that some people that are, you know, in the indie scene do not like, do not understand, do not care for. But, you know, but that's how it is. So, but when you're doing a weekly thing, that's the worst pressure you can have. But, you know, especially when you have a publisher behind you, you have that publisher's merchandising behind you. You know, it's like, man, it's like the most worst pressure in the world, because people really in the indie scene don't understand that. So they're late. So they take years to put out a 22-page book, right? Or they don't even put it out. But if you're part of publishing house, right, they expect you to be on time, and they don't care what you do to be on time. So a lot of people are now using AI to write their books, right, novels, or they're taking somebody else's book, right, and just changing all the characters and stuff, or place names and all that. Like, dear AI, right? Make this book that I've got here written by somebody else set in New Zealand, right? With New Zealand place names, with New Zealand people's names, right? Mountains, areas, roads, all that. Right. And next thing you know, it spews it out. And then a writer who's taken 3 years, who's been paid by a publisher, right, to produce that work, now loses all that hard work they've done, right? And it's just such a demeaning thing to have happen to you when someone does that with your work, right? But the other side of that is, like, when you don't have a publisher, you can do whatever the hell you want, right? And we see a lot of people in the indie comics and crowd scene doing that, whatever they want. You know, especially those who like take the money up front. You know, because of taking the money up front, they can, once you paid somebody, they can take all the time they want, and you have no say in it. And if you do have, you know, if you do say something, they just go, "Oh yeah, it's coming, bro. It's coming, man. It'll be here when it's here." You know, when? Oh, 6 months, 12 months, maybe never. You know, so it's on the one side, you want to have a certain amount of pressure on you to produce the goods, but you also don't want to be a slave to the grind, right? Oh gosh, I forgot the name of the band. Right, so early 90s band. Man, I just can't remember right off the top of my head. Excuse me. Here we go. Bringing the page up for the coloring. Gonna come. Ready to share. And share. Great. So yeah. But I feel sorry, especially in the manga and Kickstarter scene. Not Kickstarter, sorry, a Webtoon scene. I mean, the dude had spent a decade of his life, you know, creating this amazing work. Because it, you know, to actually spend a decade of your life building something like that, that's dedication. And every week putting it out, that's dedication. That's a lot. That's something a lot of people, you know, in you know, in the indie comic scene don't have dedication to their art, right? And we can see them in their behavior. We can see them in how they, you know, they speak, in the attitude towards their backers, to other people, to other creators, because their behavior reflects on everybody else around them. Because, you know, but they can all day long talk about how great they were, how great they are, how talented, how long it takes to do a piece of, you know, a page. But at the end of the day, right, they're basically as useless as I am, to be honest. Or because, you know, or I can say, well, I'm better than them because I work every day, while they just sit and just talk every day and take and live off those millions, right? So that sort of behavior is kind of sad to see, because at the end of the day, you know, it reflects on everybody else around them, but they don't care because, hey, that 35-year history in the mainstream. you're only as good as the last work you did, man. Every musician will tell you that. Every artist will tell you that. Every filmmaker will tell you that. Every director will tell you that. You're only as good as your last work you put out. Have you seen how many directors no longer direct? Right? Because their movie was a failure. Josh Trank, right? Basically, the dude who did Fantastic Four, because before this Fantastic Four, and why there wasn't any Fantastic Four since until now, right? He did Chronicles. I think it was Chronicles. He did, and right, and so because he did Chronicles, he was able to, because it was his own original work, right? So he could do whatever he wanted, and because he did that, he was able to wait. That was weird because I could get the color off that, but I'm on those. Yeah, so just threw me off there for a bit. Yeah, so Josh made this amazing movie of his own, right? About these kids who are superheroes who find a crystal and boom, they get these powers, and it's like mature, right? It's like, you know, it's what you'd call like a, you know, a mature story, right? It's similar to that idea of there was like another one about a kid, like a reverse Superman story. I can't remember who the director of that one was, but Fatal J was talking about it the other day. But I bet you I saw it when it first came out. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. But so, you know, talk about like being as good as the last movie, right? Because he hold on, it's like this. My tabs are on the other screen in front of me. Bring it, and I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to do this, but I'm looking at the other screen to get the selection tool working. So poor Josh Trank, man, like he was going to be the next big thing, and the studio, man, the studio monkeys, man, you know, they got involved. They got involved in every step of the way for him, and the dude, you know, by the time he ended up putting out the work he was finding, it was trash. Because everybody was, you know, was like, oh, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way, you got to put this, you got to do this, you know, the pressure because it's the next it's Fantastic Four movie, because the other one had come out, other two had come out, was really good. So instead of friggin' letting the same person direct the third movie, they give a new dude to do an IP that he probably had no interest in, but they wanted this way and wanted this way. They wanted the black man in here. They wanted this young person in here. Now they were kids. It's like Fantastic Four were always adults. Why are they now kids and having these powers? Right? Or hey Josh, we want you to make Fantastic Four, but make it your version and make it like you know, make it please like Chronicles, because Chronicles really did really well, Josh. Well, that's why you're here. You're only here, Josh, because of your last movie being such a big hit. You know, and they totally ruined the guy. Right? The guy who was going to be the next big freaking who's that guy who did like Guardians, you know, who's doing freaking everything over in DC now, you know, with the movies, just the, you know, the new freaking Superman movie. So basically, they took this dude who was very talented, very skilled, and ruined him. Like nobody even knows his name anymore, right? Nobody even mentions his name anymore. And this is what happens when big money gets involved with creativity, unless you are someone with a big name. But hey, guess what? Even with your someone with a big name, George Lucas, right? You still get, you know, you still fall in the same trap. They still ruin you. They ruin your legacy. Like he said, I sold my babies to white slavers, right? Yeah, but you did it, didn't you? You took the money, right? You could have just went like, okay, yeah, I'm getting old. I know this effort. Great. How about friggin', you know, going and finding people and still being in charge of it, right? Getting some other young people to work on it. Somebody else, not young, I mean young talent. I don't mean young in the sense of like age, right? But getting someone who's passionate about that and who's willing to take your vision. But no, so I don't see why George Lucas complains anymore. Right? You took the bag, dude. Right? It's like people who who go to OF and then they go, oh, years later they'll go, oh, I wish I'd never done that, right? Or porn stars who do that, right? Oh, it's all, you shouldn't do that anymore. It's like, oh, and they blame the studios. They do this and do that, and hey, there are people who got to take advantage of, right? And I'm not talking about those people, but I'm talking about like people who make millions off it, and then turn around and go, they were like this to me. It's like, well, when you're getting paid millions, you really power because you can get any lawyer to get you out of anything at that point. But if you don't, and then you complain, then well, So that's where I see George Lucas is. I have no sympathy for him anymore because he sold his soul to the devil and then he took the money and then starts complaining about it. That you should feel sorry because at the end of the day, dude got $4 billion in New Zealand, right? He basically found out that he had that one thing. He still has the rights to all the toys, right? So he continues to make money off that. Every Lego toy that features his characters, right, from the original trilogy, and the other the first six, right, what you call it, like the prequels, the original prequels, and then like the other three first ones, it's just freaking whatever. You guys know, you know all about that. I don't need to go into all the details about it, but he's got no right to complain anymore. If you were so precious about your work, have the final say. Write in the contract to have the final say. Right? It's like me. If anything I do, I've already told my nephew, right, the youngest one who's got for me, I feel is the one. I mean, who's going to get all my IP, right? Ownership of my IPs. And I said to him, look, listen to me. Someday, somebody will come up to you and whatever, and they'll ask you, what can we do, because you're going to own this. What can I change with this? And I'll say, like, I'll leave you everything with, with these directions that you never change anything, any of my characters, their skin, their, the race, their beliefs or anything. You just go, what does the work say? What is written there? You do that and nothing else, right? Along those, because people will come after the fact. You look at what happened with what's his name, the thing's grandson or something, right? Lord of the Rings, right? One of the greatest works ever in fantasy fiction, right? His grandson basically is the heir to the throne, whatever, to the state. He took the money. He didn't care for, he didn't care for his grandfather's work. He didn't care for the characters that changed the lives of so many people. I had a friend, and this is before I even read or a book of Lord of the Rings or watched Lord of the Rings. I had a guy who would read every couple of months the entire series. And I know that like my dad said, one of his friends used to read it every year for his entire life since it came out. So these are great works of literature, right? And these other people who get handed over that they had nothing to do with work, the fact that you had just born into their family, right? Silver spoon. They don't care. It's the money. Fine, take the money, but don't ruin the legacy of what your family member created. See, he's not like anybody who's part of part of the fandom does not like that dude. That dude is now like the most hated person that's connected to Lord of the Rings. See, I don't want my my nephew to be hated that way. So I'm laying the groundwork. I'm saying when you receive this, when I'm gone, even when you like take over when I'm still alive, when I can't, but I can't do the things or whatever, and you get the keys to the kingdom, to the Plunge Universe, to all the IPs that I've created, that I've built over the next 30 years while I'm still can. When you get this handed to you, it's important that yes, you'll probably be, people come knocking, and whatever, reprints, whatever, I don't know, who knows the future, right? Something might blow up and become something huge. You have to have already advised whoever's going to take over how you want this portrayed out there, how you want your legacy to be, to continue. One thing I do not want is to have fans. Hopefully someday we'll have fans, right? That are core, fans of the work as much as there are of any other IP that's out there. Because without fans, it's just nothing. It's just there. It's just another product on the shelf. Fans is what gives life to these works forever, right? People who'll pass on the love for the work long after I'm gone, that sort of thing, right? Those sort of fans. People who read it every year, who pull it out and go, man, what was he saying in there? And how did that connect with another book here? Why is that character here? And why the hell was he calling himself the Monkey King all the time he was on here? And who's this Monkey King character? Right? All that silly stuff that, why does it, and it's like, if you don't put that in place first, then it's your fault if it gets screwed up. Right? And this is why I think they really destroyed Josh Trank, man. They took this young kid. He was only in his 30s, Remember, he was very young when he worked on the Fantastic Four, right? And they basically went in and said, you do it this way, you do it this way, you do it this way. Then why the hell did you hire him? Why did you hire Josh Trank to work on the Fantastic Four if you didn't want him to have his vision there? You could have just got another jobber, wrestling term, right? You wanted your talent, your super talent to be enhanced, right? Your John Cena's to be enhanced by what they call a wet rag, right? Person. Have somebody else who's local, which is what the way they do things now is they get a local person from a local that town, right? Let's say they're visiting that town, right, or that city, right? So what they do is they'll go in and find, get in touch with their agent or themselves. You go, hey, you're quite popular in your town, but you're not you're not a pro, but you're an indie wrestler. Come in, we need you to come on, we'll give you some airtime. Would you, and we'll pay you this much, and you'll get airtime, and you'll be on TV. You know, come in, just make like you know, do some bits. You know, throw a guy around, but like or lady around, and then afterwards, you take the count. You do a couple spots, as they say, right? Take the bump, and then you like, you take the count. You crawl out of the thing. You've lost, and that's it. If you wanted that, then you should have just hired someone to do that. You know. And now, like, Josh Trank is like a warning to any person creative to say, yeah, sorry, you best know what you're doing if you're going to hook up with a studio. You might as well just stay in the indies, make your indie movies, and don't even bother to go into the mainstream Hollywood thing. Just keep making your $10,000 movies, man, or 100K movies, whatever you want to do. Just do it, and then wait for maybe go to the festivals, show them off, and maybe somebody will pick it up. Sell that, and then go on to the next. Take that money, make another movie, right? Pay your bills, make another movie. Indies. It's the same thing with like what happened. I Taika Waititi, right? Ragnarok front movie, came in, but put a whole bunch of Kiwi and Aussie humor in there. Everybody loved it. But then they just let him do whatever you wanted with the next one, Love and Thunder. Haven't even bothered watching that, right? And even though I've watched every other, the core, MCU sort of work, but that I haven't, right? I'm just going to go in later and color the rocks in, but I'm doing it this way so that like I've blocked it all out. So when I go in, there's no like white patches, so I just can go in like this, and don't have to worry about all this other area. But just clean up all the green hills first. The grass here, knolls. So that might be the wrong word. Knoll. Isn't it like the plains? I don't know. But anyway, so so they didn't put they didn't actually give him like this is how far you can go with this human, mate. We like what you did, Ragnarok. Let's stay within that boundary, right? Okay, just stay within that boundary. Don't go too far. No, they couldn't. They didn't give him that, and now so he went way far. He went beyond the fence, right? Since we don't have like farms here. Oops, just realized there is a color there. All right, so you doesn't look right. Okay, I'm gonna have to color that. So finish that line off. That's the other thing. Like one of the great artists told me, like, make sure all your lines are connecting when you go to color, because otherwise, when you go to select tool, it'll go everywhere. It'll where there's no connection of lines. So if you're a colorist, make sure one of the first things you do is that like make sure the only way you know if the lines are connected or not is when they fall in, go into all this area. So I did do some connections here yesterday. Oh, middle of the night. It was like middle of the night yesterday or something anyway. And this is supposed to be concrete, so it might as well be the concrete, right? Is that gray? No, it's too brown gray. Maybe I might leave it that way, brown gray, because it's like old. And I know from experience from our own house that kind of looks like this, because our house is like from the 60s. The concrete out the back has been painted over and over again over the years. So there's chips, and there's like layers and like, oh, it's great. I had there's like this porch area. I had to like my mom wanted me to because it'd been painted over like so many times or so they wanted me to mosaic it, which I did, but I had to grind it down like the paint, and it was so many layers, man. It was crazy. Which was like about 3 meters by 3 meters by a meter and a half. So almost like I don't know, about 7 meters or something. No, about 4 meters square. Yeah, so so he went in and just went overboard with the whole thing, and so now it's like a stain on the whole Thor of his Thor trilogy kind of thing. I mean the Thor trilogy, right? Because he did the first one was okay, yeah, it was quite good actually. I liked the first one, and then the second one, or was it the fourth one that he screwed up? And so, but then like Ragnarok, I don't know if that was the second or third, but they came out, everybody loved it, it added this little bit, but then it just went off, the last one, and nobody talks about the last one anymore. And it was, and like, so he went away and did his own little movie, and yeah, made some had what is it? I can't leeway, headspace, whatever you want to call it. Headway, yeah, headway. That's right. And then people said, yeah, he's not a bad dude when he's doing his own shit, right? It's like I said about Josh Trank. He did his own movie, Chronicle, and it was amazing. It just blew everybody's brain. It was like, yeah, this is so good. This is before like the whole blow up of the Marvel Universe, right? And it was the original work. If you haven't seen Chronicle, please go check it out, man. Chronicle is an amazing movie. Do not forget Josh Trank as a film creator, a film director, original artist, auteur, right? As a filmmaker, storyteller. Because the thing with Hollywood is they like to bury people who they, who haven't like, blockbustered them out, right? Because like I said, you're only as good as your last movie, but they went out of their way to make him, a no name. Talk about being cancelled, dude. Josh Trank was basically cancelled from Hollywood because of what they did with the, with his, and people go, oh yeah, he deserved it. It was trashy. Yeah, but dude didn't have a chance to make a good movie, right? Because of how the studios pulled and pushed, at him. This is what I realized, like, I said, like, how I, when I first did Templeton, which is this book here, right? When I was first looking creating this character, right? It was written as a short story. It's written as a graphic novel based around the character of Constantine, right? And then I realized, after sending a letter which was published by the way, to Vertigo, DC Vertigo, to Karen Berger, I realized that mainstream wasn't what I wanted to do. Not because of her, but the way they then they work with, they brought Constantine to DC, and he just became another jobber, basically. Rest of term, right? Yeah, they did a TV series, and all that, but he was great as, with the movie, right? The character of the movie. It was great. It was full on. It was in your face. Keanu did a good job, despite being blonde, But, not being blonde. But at the end of the day, they basically, just made him a Kittyverse character. Yeah, well, we got this character that's been around for 30 years, right? that's put out 300 comics, right? 300 issues. We've had some of the greatest writers that we can, from England, from around, from America, work on it. But it's not getting the numbers we want because it's only adults that are reading it. But we should get, we should be able to get them like, maybe like, I guess, who would be what would be like the character from DC that would be around, your average, I don't know, 100K, 50K book, prints, monthly prints, or whatever you want to call it. Probably like not a Dr. Fate or something like that, but it was more basically a job in DC, like a B level, right? And they were like, we want him to be like an A level character and all this, but Constantine only works a certain way because he's written for mature readers. He's not written for for young kids. He survived 30 years as a character because the people who worked on those stories wrote it for adults, for mature content, for mature readers, not mature content, sorry. Because he's a bastard. He's a character that's, that is not supposed to be in the DC universe, right? In the main DC universe. He wasn't written for the main DC universe. But they brought him in anyway. And I was like, well, if they can do that with all these guys with that book, they could do that with anything that I ever write, right? And I'm like, yeah, no. I will stay away from the mainstream and I'll create my own work and I'll create my own characters. Sure, inspiration, whatever. And so when I went to write Templeton, I was like, recreated everything about him. I was like, nothing about him would ever look like or even smell of Constantine, right? And and this, I wish Josh had done that, but I guess in a sense he was like, okay, oh wow, I get to work on Fantastic Four, right? I can go from working on a mature teenage superhero anti-hero superhero movie that I've come up with myself, that's my baby, and now they want to pay me all these big dollars to make this stuff. Wow, that's pretty cool, man. I'll do that, However, he didn't realize the noose that he'd put it over his own neck, And sadly, that noose destroyed his career. And, because like when you offered all that money, once again, George Lucas, you're basically signing up to do whatever they say that you're doing, that you have to do, because it's their money, right? If you don't want that, then don't freaking, if you're not willing to play the game, right, then don't take the money. And then that's also corresponds to crowdfunding and indie comics, right? If you don't want to play the game of providing the product that you said you're going to provide, then get the hell out of indie comics and crowdfunding. And I don't mean like get out of indie comics. I mean like just go and do your own thing, right? Be a self-publisher. If you can't play by the rules of indie comics, I mean crowdfunding comics, man, let's get that word right. If you want to play the game of crowdfunding comics, right? The rules of crowdfunding is you say you're going to do something, you put it out there and say this is what we're going to do, and then people go, okay, cool, I'm okay with you doing that. I'm looking forward to doing that. And now thank you for the product. Let's see. Let's wait for the product. But people don't play that game, right? They want to play their own game of like, well, I can do whatever I want now that I have your money, right? And so, not only do they ruin their own friggin' name, their own people, waiting on their book and like being disgusted with them, right? But also they're ruined for everybody else who's playing their game, being in, being a crowdfunding comic creator, right? Using the platform of crowdfunding. Because the thing is, even though I'm doing this myself, I mean, like, I'm writing and all that, and I'm saying this, I'm creating in the sense that like I'm creating comics myself, I'm coming up with the idea, but I'm working with a team. So they're my editor, right? They're my publisher, right? The artist who's getting me work every day or every week or whatever, every couple of days, I'm responsible to them to make sure I am doing my part daily. When I get a page in, I get that page into my friggin', my tablet. I mean, like my comic, app set up like this, and I start doing, speech bubbles. I start getting the text in the places that needs to be. But I say that my artist is sending me a mock-up of a page. I get in there and I go, okay, this is where I'm going to put the speech bubble. Now, this is where you need to concentrate on your art. Here, you don't have to worry about too much because it'll be hidden by the speech bubble, and so on. So you don't have to spend like hours trying to perfect that area, but concentrate on this area, right? But all of them, they concentrate on all the page anyway because they don't know. You never know that maybe I might have to change that because it might not work when I put the speech bubble in. So they still do that, but like, because they're professionals, right? So I am, what is it called? They're like almost like my bosses, right? They have to hand in a page. I have to take that page and do my part, right? However, there are creators out there who don't think that way, especially in crowdfunding. They don't see their boss being, because once you go to crowdfunding, your boss is basically the backer. Because they're the ones who go, where's my book? I gave you money. You're the contractor now, right? As a crowdfunder, you're a contractor. You're contracted by the backer to produce a bill of goods, right? Not a bill of goods, sorry. A work, right? A product that they've already paid you for. So yeah, it's prepaid, right? By calling crowdfunding, it's the same thing, right? It's not really that different, just because we call it by any other name, So I feel like because these so that's going to be a different breed. So people basically don't treat it like the boss is a backer because it's their money. It's like that because the backers are like basically the publishing house, the studio saying, "Hey, here's your prepay. Now go finish that bloody book off. Here's the money you can need to go produce that book with, not to go live on, not to gamble away, not to buy movie tickets, not to take your girlfriend, boyfriend, gay partner out to lunch or dinner, right? Or go on a holiday, vacation, right? But to produce a book. the amount of disrespect towards backers I see online from Kickstarter people, I mean, not just Kickstarter, on crowdfund, I should say, is so bad, man. Imagine doing that at work, to your boss at work, right? Imagine going to your boss, I'll get it done when I feel like it. You'll have it when I'm ready. You'll get replaced very quickly because there's other people out there, right, who are way qualified and cheaper than you who will do the job. Because everybody's basically replaceable at this time in life, right? Honestly, there's for every one person, there's like 100 people waiting to get for their job in front of 1,000. Oops, wrong color. Right? Because there are so many talented people out there. Or on the other side of that is, you know, if you do that, you know, if you're not able to do that now, at this stage of time, which is sad, you just get replaced with a friggin' AI. Right? And that's not good for anyone. Right? Yeah, for us. Right? So this is what I mean, like people who flake out and treat backers with disrespect, and like their own private bank, should start treating backers like their bosses instead. That and treat themselves like they're freelance contractors. That you're only as good as your last job, man. You know, and sooner or later, like if you do a dodgy job, right, as a plumber or electrician, the community knows. People soon know it, and what happens is that other people in that same will start chasing you up and go, "Hey, I had to fix a job. What did you do over there? Why didn't you do your job properly? You're not doing your job properly. Why did I have to go? You know, why did that lady have to pay again to do the same job that you already did, that you already got paid for, that she paid you for?" Right? So there is that side of things in the professional world, because to be honest, indie comics, a lot of people aren't professional. They aren't. Like, their behavior isn't professional. You know, they don't take what they're doing, you know, treating it as a professional thing, which is sad because there's so much money some people are making here, right? Because of their connections, because of their networks, because of who they are, names, brands, you know, whatever. And some people would just back them just because of the name, nothing to do with the work, nothing to do with what they're writing about or they're drawing, just their name alone. You know, and yet there is so much more better talent out here than any of them. You know, but you know, it's like at the moment we humans are very fickle. We go to the stars, we go to the names, right? And we think anybody else who doesn't have a name is shit, that they're not as good. And the only reason for that is because we're too lazy to see what else is out there. Or because those guys with the big names tell us that everybody else is shit. So we believe them. Right? To our own detriment. And so we let people who are, you know, who are shitty people get away with doing shitty things and handing out shitty products without, because of their name alone. You know, it's kind of sad. I had this 2 pages to like it's kind of like a backup, not like a backup, like a background, I should say, a background to these 2 kids here, and I had to put as much as I could without putting any extra pages in, just in the 2 pages. And it was hard because like I'd written up probably about 4 pages worth of text, or story, whatever, but I wanted only in like 2 pages because, you know, I just wanted people to just, I mean, it's kind of creative thing. I just wanted to see, have, the reader be able to grasp I think as much as I could put out there in that short period, space of pages. I don't think I'm describing it properly. Yeah, let me just put this out here. I just need to expand that by 1 pixel. There you go. So you can see here, like just by expanding 1 pixel, it puts it under the black, right? And so, whereas like before it was like this, right outside the black, and now just by expanding it a bit more, now it's under the black, right? But the income by the black. So then I can go in and like make it, widen it a bit more. Because this is the sky, right? Oops, went too far over the side. Because sometimes, like, just that white line around it, like, it feels like makes the art look a bit dirty. Or the color doesn't, it's like it's not gone right to the line. It's weird how like professionals who like, if they're having to do a day job as like for somebody else, like some other boss, will treat that in a professional way. But if they have to do it for people, regular people, they don't treat it in a professional way. I saw a $400 head sketch, right? A standard, like I think it was A4 size or something like that. $400 US is around about $600 New Zealand, by the way. That's a regular person's week wage. It was so trashy. And yet people will buy it because like, oh no, people have to take it, right? Because they paid for it already. It's like, dude, I gave it for $400, 600 New Zealand, right? Approx 600 New Zealand, because it's 1.7 times 1, like so $1 US is $1.70 New Zealand. So imagine giving somebody like your average wage, right? Average wage earner, right? Your wage for that week, and then You gave it about 3 years ago. So with inflation, now it's worth about 500 or 550 or 450, right? So you've actually paid them 450 by the time you get the work back. While your 450 could have gone to something else. This is why I'm kind of really, with the work we release, I'm very keen to make it as professional and also not offer something I can't produce. Doing sketches is asking for trouble, to be honest. See, because what happens is sometimes people expectations is beyond what you can deliver, right? See, when I commission someone to say, hey, I want a cover done, and this is the cover, this is my theme, or this is my concept of what I want as cover, I do a pretty loose cover, loose, mock-up of it. But I tell them exactly what I want, where, and how I want it. So that, so the pieces I'm thinking of having in there, wrestling term, the spots, right, are matched, are made. So then when they do it, I have no reason to complain too much because that's what I asked for. However, I can always, there's also like a 3-spot with artists, which is like they hand you used to ask them what to do something for you, and this is like commissions, right? And then they give you a mock-up, and they go, okay, so this, this, okay. Then they go back, what do you think? Yeah, this, and you go, yep, that's it, and that's it. Or as you make it one more time, that's it, right? However, if you're doing sketches, right, from like Kickstarter or something like, or crowdfunding, it's just up to the friggin' artist. They could do a shit job, and you still have. That's what you get. That's what you end up with, right? You just take what you're given. Doesn't matter if it took 10 minutes or 5 minutes to do it, or a whole day, right? There's some artists who will take days to do your work, right? And some will just, because they level of experience and talent and skill, dedication to their task, they could do it in like 10, 20 minutes, right? Or whatever. Depends what it is, of course, that you've asked for, right? So if you pay somebody $400, you expect $400 worth of work. I've received stuff that's worth $400 for free from people. Sketches, by the way, for free. Just as a thank you, or as part of a deal, or as a gift, Yet people who are receiving money for them are doing like piss poor jobs, as we say in New Zealand. Yet, because of the name, because of who they are, they get away with it. And it's sad because that all adds to the whole bad experience of people having with crowdfunding. Now, that's there like that, but I'm going to lighten on this area because we're a bit more close up, right? Whereas this is like far away, kind of like sky in the background. I think I might go a bit lighter here. Not too light. Just so it's just, maybe a bit more. Because I'm going to, with the color itself base, actually, here we go, let's do that. Where's the darkest blue in here? There we go. So that's a bit, actually that's too light. Give me my color palette. There we go. Yeah, that looks better. All right, here we go. There, that's a bit more lighter, right? Let's get some green. Oh, yeah, green. No. Oh, those are highlights. I want highlights. I need dark pictures. Yeah, it's kind of bluish green, that one. There we go, dark green. So, and actually, let's finish all that. I'll get back to that, but let me do something different rather than see all these screens here. Pull myself up, just seeing green, green, green. So the colorist or renderer will have to come over and put light patches, light highlights, right? Highlight areas for the sunlight and all that. So this one, like, I think there are so many, like, here's the thing, like, comics isn't the only thing that people are complaining about when it comes to crowdfunding, right? I'd be disingenuous, right, if I was to just say that comics is the only thing, but it's it's one of the ones that cause the most problems. But there are other things that, like, people haven't, like, produced either. Games, technology, books, movies that people have used crowdfunding for, right? But it all comes under that whole thing where, like, people aren't treating, aren't treating it as a in a professional way, and treating it like a business, right? They're just treating it like a hobby, and because they're treating it like a hobby, you can see that in the way they, way they do things when it comes to crowdfunding. Sometimes it's pretty tacky, and going big. And I've already said, like, that's the last stream I was saying, talked about that, how I had all these grand ideas of what I wanted to do, and then quickly learned that it's grand ideas. You need to, like, go in with an open mind and with a please sir, can I have more attitude, Oliver Twist, rather than, oh, I got what you need, right? I got what you want. Because really, you don't know what people want or what they need until you're out there. Fix it in a minute. Let's get this tree, doing the tree thing. And now the freaking Nirvana songs in my head. Earlier on, you know, it's like Jesus, all colored pictures. No, is it all colored? No, is it 4 or 3? Something colored pictures all in a row. Oh, that's it. It's Marigold. Marigold. Where is this? Wait. No, schedule restart. You stupid. We finished. No. Hold on. This thing popped up, and I was like, "Oh no!" You know, damn it. Okay, we'll finish installing when it's convenient for the thing. If you schedule, okay, yeah. Almost felt like my computer was just gonna restart on me. I was like, "Oh, sheesh!" Almost had a heart attack. You know that whole meme from what's his name from the guy who from I think it's from Walking Dead, but you know Punisher. They go no. You know, that was a moment for me. Oh no, so anyway, let me put this Marigold song on for a bit. So it's out of my head. Otherwise, it'll just be a distraction. Nirvana. A distraction to me. Sorry. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Foo Fighters. Where's? Come on, isn't it like? Didn't they do a video for it? Okay, let's just and I don't want a Foo Fighters version of it. I want a Nirvana version of it. Stop playing already. Wait, is it that alternate version? It's when we eat in utero. Better save this page before I open anything else up. There we go. She says something like that. It's been like maybe a decade or two since I've heard the song. He's there in case I want it all. He's scared 'cause I want. He's scared in case I want it all. He's scared 'cause I want. All in all, the clock is slow. It's 6 colored pictures all in a row. There we go. There you go. I don't want to have to remove it later because that's what happens. I have to like remove the freaking song altogether, edit the video out and everything. That's why I don't play music in the middle of too much of the live streams. I said that to Alasmit, right? About how you can do that later, and then like all of a sudden I realized like there's like 4 or 5 live streams that wasn't actually online because they just I thought they were online, and they weren't online. I went to check it out. Oh, you have this, you have this, you have this, and you need to, you can edit. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go through that process again. So maybe 30 seconds is enough, 10 seconds is enough, and that'll be enough. And I'll just play, clips from my, clips that I've put together myself, and that'll be that. There we go, that's better. It's nice and dark now. Yes, he's scared because I want it all. She's sad because I want it all. All 6 colored pictures all in a row. Marigold. It's one thing that, like, here's the thing, like, to get bugs away from your plants and all that. I've forgotten I need to do this. Is plant marigolds. There is there's something in the actual marigold plants that's anti-insects, anti-bugs. Some sort of pheromone they let off in the smell. And so if you garden or anything like that, like I do, if and you're having troubles with bugs, which I do, I'm going to I actually put out some slug pellets yesterday. Is that it would be good to just realize something, to plant marigolds. Not only will it help you with the bugs and insects, but it will also smell nice and also look pretty, because they're not that very tall plants, and then and the flowers are very colorful, yellow, orange. I think there's some hybrids, maybe of other colors, but really they see right yellow and orange, maybe red. It does brighten it up, and you don't have to have a lot of it to brighten up your garden and to keep the plant, insects away and bugs away. But yeah, I was just thinking that's what I should, and song reminded me again that I need to do that. Forget quite quickly. Thanks. All right, we're about almost 3 hours. Closing into 3 hours for this live stream. I was like, oh, I'm only going to do 1 hour today. And I'm going to, take a break and have lunch, do the dishes, separate, another friggin' 5 kgs of 10 pounds of container load of mixed up Lego sets. And then I'll go back into, have dinner, and then because it takes ages, then I'll go back into doing more coloring. But here we are into the 3rd hour. I realized something. I should make this darker. Get that there. Come here. Separate that a bit more. There we go. Maybe darker. It feels like it's not dark enough. Maybe it's the tone. With the levels that they do with this thing. So I'll show you what I mean by, like, if you just change it up, it can be dark still, but if you change the numbers around a bit, hue ratio, what you want to call it, there you go. So now it's a bit more standing out. I mean, it's like you won't even notice it, right? If you're looking at the screen, it'll look, on the page, it will look like almost identical, but your eye unknowingly will say, oh, that's different. Because that's the thing about, like, the human brain and eyes, the amount of, like, knowledge that we have in our heads. Instinctively, we know when something's out of place. If we, that's another thing when it comes to comics. Readers instinctively understand certain things about when it comes to comics. Instinctively. Because especially if they've been reading for decades, right? They know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense on that page. because they've read it for so long. Some of them, like myself, dedicated their lives to it, kind of thing. They say you can fool some people some of the times, but you can't fool all people all the time, kind of thing. So that's what I was saying yesterday. Like, I take this very, very seriously. It's fun, receiving a page in the middle of the night, or 2 o'clock in the morning. It's fun, right? Or any other time of day, but still, it's still work, but it's still serious work, right? It's like, this is my day job, man. So I have to treat it like my day job, and with the respect that I would treat my day job with. Because like I say, like, I can only handle like 4 hours of working, and then I can't do it anymore because of my head, right? And my back and so on. But now that I'm not sitting up and doing this, like streaming, I'm able to do this a bit longer, but still, it doesn't make it easier. So it's like I haven't done anything, right? I'm looking at it, it's just like, it doesn't look like anything at all, to be honest. But when the highlights go in, it'll look like, it'll look like magic. When I was a kid, I mean, I've grown up on farms over here in New Zealand as well as in Fiji when I was a kid there, right? My first almost 7 years of my life spent in Fiji. In Fiji, you don't have fences ever, like hardly ever, on a farm, separating boundaries. You just don't. You won't see fences, but now you will, because, actually still won't. It's only around businesses and like, major stuff, where it's become to a point where people are, stealing and stuff. But most compounds, most families, you just won't see, the boundaries are there, because, it's just the way things are, placed. But I was just trying to figure out what was lit and what wasn't. Yeah. And then, because there's the timber gang across here, and there's timber gang across here, but I think this is the timber gang across here, right? And that's the grass straight through. So if I'm doing that, then I have to go do this. This is the grass. Timber, part of the fence, right? So yeah, so you could walk across people's properties. There'll be dogs there and whatever animals, and you just have to be respectful, and it's all good. Just go, hey, auntie, just walking across, or hey, uncle, hey, granddad, with respect, not just in a funny way. Hey, old fella, because really, you're a stranger on that property. Just because there isn't fences doesn't mean you treat it like it's your place, right? So I used to walk all over, our backyard, village. I think, oh no, I didn't show it on here. I showed it on the other channel, because we were talking about like how some dude had to hold on to a coconut tree or a telephone pole so he wouldn't drown during a cyclone, because it was like a 10-foot water had risen, because it's on the beach, right? Or 6 foot on the beach. So where is this? Darn it. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. So let's do this. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Right, so I'm just going to drop that there. Now I can cut that. There we go. So, and then here, I can cut that. Now it's level. That line. Actually, maybe get a little bit more. Yeah. Cut that. So we would, like I say, there was no fences, but you were just respectful, and and you try to walk. Oh, you walk along the boundary lines, right, of that property. You didn't go onto their property. You waved out from the boundary line, right? So you know how, like, you have a house and you have your front lawns, and you have your back lawns, and whatever, and then and you would have your fence here in the west, right? You'd have your fence around your house. So the boundary is that it's like the dirt. So there's where the grass is higher, and that's where their boundary line is, where that's their yard, and you don't walk onto you can walk on the high grass, but not onto their yard, right? Because they have every right to set the dogs on you, or yell at you, throw things at you. This is, Fiji and any other country that's not Western country. And however, in the West, everybody has a right to do that if you're on their freaking property as well, right? Problem is, nowadays we don't actually, treat people and their property with respect. So I'm just thinking of this time that I was like walking near, close to, kind of like, I don't know, about 200 meters away from the beach, maybe even 300 meters, and walking the back road, following what we call paki lines, which is basically railroad, right? Railway tracks, but in Hindi it's paki, right? And so the railroad, we're following that with my mate, and this lady's hanging up clothes, whatever, and waves out, "Hey, auntie," don't even know from her bar, so. But my family does. I don't have a clue, but my family do, right? Because everybody knows everybody in the village. So I don't want to be out there going, being a naughty boy or whatever, going onto their property, because the word will get back that, hey, and here's the thing, right? Word got back. Like the next day that I was with my friend walking along that tracks, and I think it was my granddad goes, "Hey, where were you guys yesterday?" "Oh," I was over here doing this with such and such, and me and Arun, because my freaking weird thing was that one of my best friends had the same name as me, right? So I was given a nickname instead, right? To differentiate between us. And so my granddad gets told, "Hey, so I think it was your grandson was walking along our property lines out here. Wasn't sure what he was up to, but like he was out there, oh, was he being naughty boy? No, he was just walking along with his mates. We don't know what he was up to, but yeah, just thought we'd let you know." And this is like, well, how many blocks do that? Let's say it's like about 10 blocks away or something like that. Maybe even 20 blocks, city terms. Far away, like about freaking couple miles away, because that's all I used, after school, weekends, we just would go for walks, fishing, whatever. Just randomness of being a kid, 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid, right? I would say 5, yes, 7 or 8, 6 to 7-year-old or 10. I think the second time I was like about 10 years old or something like that when I went back there. So yeah, so we get back and I'm like, oh yeah, we were there. Yeah, don't even know who they were, but we were there. Is that who that was? Oh yeah, don't know that. Yeah, total strangers to me. But yeah, they knew the family. It was, I think if we, if, I guess that sort of thing's gone now, right? Just the whole Western, uh, I mean, like not Western, like the whole village mentality is gone now. That people don't have that sort of mentality anymore. Like, that it takes a child to raise a village. It takes a village to raise a child. So backwards. So yeah, it takes a village to raise a child. That used to be what the term was. That like, if you did something wrong, somebody else in the village, if they saw that, they could correct you or discipline you, or tell your family about it, and your family would go out and correct you. Because if they didn't, then the rest of the village would see you as a bad family member, or that your family does not take the villages and other people seriously. So then you become kind of like the pox on your house, sort of situation. And so people, knew who to stay away from, which family they would not talk to. Oh, that family's full of drunkens and thieves and stuff. So it's the same thing, like in the West, but like this is a bit more, deep down. And so you knew as a child growing up that you were being raised by a village, not just by your parents. And so, or in my case, my grandparents and my uncles and aunties. So, you had to watch your behavior. Sadly, your parents can do, your uncles and aunts can do so much, right? Until you realize that, well, they're not your parents, so they shouldn't have to tell you what to do, right? That whole attitude comes in, and also in Western culture is like, you can't tell me what to do. I have laws protecting me. You can't hit me, mom. You can't hit me, dad. You can't tell me to go to my room. But yeah, so like it's really interesting about boundary lines, right? Like you can see here, this is their boundary around their house, right? And of course, this is also to keep the animals away as well as people, to let them know that this is private property here. That's really, it's not. All right, we're going to be showing the numbers in about another 5 minutes or so. Trying to keep, trying to keep a certain amount of time so I don't wear myself out mentally, as well as my arm starting, my shoulder. Yeah, this because of repetition, a bit of RSI is coming into place, especially on my right hand, on my right wrist and my shoulder because of the injuries there. I just realized something. That this isn't even actually what I thought it was. It's not wood. That's just supposed to be the wire here, right? Or just like there's some like shade. So I just all that effort I put into that wasn't even necessary. I asked my artist on Zealandia to draw me me as a monkey, a certain type of monkey. There's a specific monkey that I kind of thought was cool. I never knew of it until I was doing some research for for the tortoise. And yeah, it was just, I was like, oh, okay, no, just might as well just use this. It'll it'll make people laugh. Just seeing that I inserted myself as a monkey into a story, and then started, took it even further. And I mean, because this is part of a meme, right? It's like part of like internet meme that I ended up taking on board myself. And now it's going to be lore in a comic book as a self-insert of all things, as a joke on myself, by myself, for myself, at myself, right? As a joke to myself, of myself, so I can laugh at myself and not to take myself seriously. Oh, yeah. So the fence thing, like, so in New Zealand, this is what we call a number 8 wire, and the meme is that you can fix anything with a number 8 wire, and not like you could, hold up your motor, right, in your car or your exhaust pipe and that's fallen off or something, and you tie it up, back up, and just and so the number 8 wire is like, yeah, it's a big part of New Zealand history. Right. Yeah, a little better, just a bit more brighter rather than like darker. But yeah, I've had to over my lifetime, I've had to cross a lot of fences living in New Zealand compared to living in Fiji. Hardly any in Fiji, but like maybe a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 fences. Because our backyard was basically a cattle farm, just to go down to the friggin' river to pick watercress, for my mum, or just to have it, go run around in the back, chase rabbits, whatever. Had to cross cross fence, like 2-3 fences, just to get to where I need to go to each time. Okay. And we're 15 seconds away. So thank you everyone for hanging out with me today here on these YouTube webs channel. Now, of course, please check out our where's my did I turn the mouse on? Save this. Oh, it did. Okay, so this is the link for the tortoise. It's called the Tortoise Manga. So you can see the the dash in between on Webtoons. That's the name there. And we'll catch you on the next stream of the Monkey Show. Ka kite anō, have a good week, have a good day. Wherever you are, man, have a great day. And we'll catch you on the next stream. Stay loyal to your Monkey King of Zeolandia, and I will keep throwing out bananas in the chat. Ka kite anō, have a good one, guys. And catch you on the flip side. Bye for now.
Nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. And I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.